بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Practicing on solving for final exam of physics. Let's start. The first one. A truck driver travels 10 kilometers east and then he turns around 4 kilometers west. Finally, he turns again and travels 16 kilometers east to the destination or to his destination. What distance has the driver traveled and what's the total displacement? Okay. Distance, you have to add the whole number, okay? 10 plus 4 plus 16 without their signs, so will be 30 kilometer. What's the displacement? In displacement, you have to add the whole numbers, but with their signs. So 10 plus negative 4 plus 16 will be 22 kilometer to the east, okay? This is the first question. Let's ask or answer the second question. A skyrocket travels 5.4 kilometer per second at an angle of 62.44 degrees. So this is hypotenuse and this is the theta. This is the theta because degree, and this is the hype. Okay, you have to find what? You have to find the rocket's velocity, the components, the both components, Vx and Vy. So Vx is adjacent and Vy opposite. So what's the adjacent? Hypotenuse times cosine theta. What's opposite? Hypotenuse times sine theta. So just answer them. So hypotenuse 5.4 times cosine 62.4, you will get the number kilometer per second, the same unit as hype. Opposite equals hypotenuse multiplied sine theta. 5.4 times sine 62.4 equals 4.79 kilometer per second. Okay, let's answer question 3. A small airplane flies at a velocity of 145 kilometer per hour toward the north, and then the airplane pilot measured a wind velocity of 172 kilometer per hour north, both of them north. What's the velocity of the wind relative to the airplane? So this is relative to the airplane. This is relative motion. Don't forget. What's the rule of relative motion? You have just subtract. Velocity of wind to airplane equals velocity of wind minus velocity of airplane. This is V. It's not W. This is V. Okay. So velocity of airplane is 145 kilometer per hour. Velocity of wind is 172 kilometer per hour. And what's the velocity of wind to airplane? So you just subtract the wind to the airplane. So first of all wind, and then you minus airplane. So 172 minus 145 equals 27 kilometer per hour to the north. You have to write north. It is to the north. Okay. And then question 4. Question 4. The net force of airplane is of a propeller of 4.2 kilogram. So kilogram, this is mass, and the model airplane is 8 Newton. Newton is force, F. What is the acceleration? So what's acceleration? If you want to find acceleration, you just divide force over m. So 8 over 4.2, you will get the number meter per second squared forward, because the force was forward. Okay, question 5 is projectile motion. A baseball rolls off 2.6 meter high. High, it's delta y. So 2.6 is delta y. It strikes the floor 0.75 meter away. This is delta x. I already wrote here the givens from the base of the disc. How fast was the ball rolling? So how fast? We need the velocity, Vx. Okay, we know Vx equal what? Vx equals delta x over delta t, but we don't have delta t. We don't have this one. So you have to go to y motion to find delta t. So delta y equals half ay times delta t. Then you have to substitute delta y negative 2.6 equals half negative 9.81. This is ay, the gravity, times delta t squared. And then you just multiply half with the gravity. you will find negative 4.9, and then you will divide both sides by negative 4.9, and then you have to take out of the square root because it is delta t squared. I need only delta t, so it is 0.73. So you just substitute 0.75, which is delta x over delta t, and then you find the number with meter per second because it is velocity. Okay, now let's come to question 6. We have 4 forces. You have to find F net. You have to find F net. Okay, and then you have to find also the direction. So first of all, you have to find F net x. You just add the x axes. So you have to add 25, negative 25 plus 50. So 50 plus negative 25, you have to find by the calculator 25 Newton. Don't forget Newton force, Newton force, Newton force, and this is degree. This is degree. Okay, what about delta or F net y? You have to add the numbers in y axis. So 120 plus negative 80, because this is negative and this is also the west and south negative. So you will find 40 Newton. Okay, how you find F net if you have x and y? If you have x and y, this is now is like this, 25, and this is 40. This is 40, and this is 25. Of course, the unit Newton, both of them. How you find the resultant? By Pythagorean theorem, because they are making what? Right angle. They are making right angle. So you have to find by Pythagorean theorem, and you have to find the theta. So 40 is opposite and 25 is adjacent. This is adjacent. Okay, so how you find the resultant F net? By Pythagorean theorem. So 25 squared plus 40 squared equal 47.2 Newton also. Okay, how you find the direction? By tan inverse, opposite over adjacent, 40 over 25. By calculator, you will find 58%, or degree, sorry, 58 degrees. Okay, let's go to the question 7. Is actually the same as, or it's already, we done it in book, in chapter review. Okay, also we have 4 forces, so you have to add the x-axis together. So you have to add the x-axis together, and then you have to add the y-axis together. So anything in y-axis, you have to add them with their direction. Why with their direction? Because they are force, and force we know is vector quantity. So F net x, you just add them, 950 plus negative 100 on 1520, you get the number, and then you have to add the y-axis, 500, and then this is actually negative 4050, you get the number. Like, how you find F net? As I told you before, by Pythagorean theorem, you just add, you just add, and then you by squared, and then you have to take out of the square root. How you find the direction? By theta. What's theta? Tan inverse, opposite over adjacent. Ly is opposite, x is adjacent. So you find the number, and this is degree. The theta must be in degree. The other all must be in Newton. Newton, Newton, Newton. Okay. Okay, here you have to find weight. Weight on Earth and weight on the Moon. Okay, weight on the Earth. What's weight? Weight, it's Fg. Gravitational force is actually weight. Fg equals mg. So what is m? The mass is 3.5. This is mass. Kilogram, this is mass. Okay, times gravity. So what's the gravity of Earth? You have to remember, the gravity of Earth is 9.81. And what's the gravity of Moon? Is 1. It's given up in the question, 1635. Okay, you just multiply by the mass, you get the number. So mg, 3.5 times 9.81, you get the number with Newton, because weight with Newton, and weight is never negative, so don't put negative for the gravity, okay? and Fg equals mg. This is for moon, so you multiply the mass by the gravity of the moon, which is 1.635. You get the number with Newton. Okay, let's come to the last question, question 9. 23 kilogram chair initially at rest on a horizontal floor requires 145 newtons. So this is what 145 newton, this is Fs. Because it says what it was at rest. So this is Fs, frictional force, static frictional force. To set it in motion. Once the chair is in motion, so this is Fk. 112 Fk, and don't forget Fs always more than Fk. Fs is more than Fk. So 145 is more than 112, so 145 is Fs, 112 Fk. Okay, we have to find what? Oh, it says horizontally force keeps in moving at a constant velocity. Find the coefficient of static friction, mu s. You have to find mu s, and then the b, you have to find mu k. Coefficient of friction, kinetic, this is static, s, this is kinetic k, mu k and mu s. So how you find mu s? You just divide Fs over Fn. So Fs over Fn, Fs over Fn. Okay. طيب, we don't have Fn, we have mass. Can you find Fn from mass? Actually, yes. So this is, first of all, you have to find Fn, and then you substitute, direct substitution. First of all, you have to find Fn. So what is Fn? Fn actually is normal force is always equal to the gravitational force. So Fn equals mg. So you just multiply the mass with the gravity, you find the number with Newton, and then you just divide 145 over Fn, the number that we get, and here Fk over Fn, 112, which is Fk over Fn, this number. You get the number, but be careful here in this question, in this last question, you shouldn't write any unit, because coefficient is no unit, has no unit of coefficient. So 0.64 without unit, I already wrote a comment, no unit, and this one also 0.50, no units. Okay, that's all about solving. Thank you so much and good luck.